Additional practice questions to CBSE Class 10 Math. This is from the chapter, a pair of linear equations in two variables. The concept tested covered in this question is basically reducing a set of equations to a pair of linear equations in two variables. We need to find the solution for this pair of equations. 30 by x plus y minus 8 by x minus y equals 1 and 65 by x plus y minus 18 by x minus y equals 2. A typical pair of linear equations in two variables will resemble something like this. We'll say 40x plus 15y is equal to 70. 65x minus 19y is equal to 80 or something like this. But here we see something different. So we'll have to reduce these two equations to appear something like this. a1x plus b1y equals c1. That format, the generalized form of a pair of linear equations in two variables. It's a three-step process. So when you find equations of this kind which do not look like this, basically start with these three steps. What are those three steps? First, reduce these two equations to equations that resemble the standardized form in two new variables. Let's say m and n, p and q. Let's go with p and q here. Step 2, solve these two equations in p and q and find the values of p and q. You'll get two linear equations which appear this way. So you can use either the substitution, elimination or the cross multiplication method to find the values of p and q. Step 3, substitute these values of p and q and find the values for x and y. Let's set about doing that. Let's start with the first step where we're going to reduce these two equations to equations in two variables p and q. Let's start by this. Let's rewrite both these equations, taking away the variable component and the coefficient component separately. So the first equation will be 30 into 1 by x plus y minus 8 into 1 by x minus y. So keep the coefficient and the constants separately. This equals 1. This is equation number 1 for us. Equation number 2 will be 65 into 1 by x plus y minus 18 into 1 by x minus y. This is equal to 2. Let's call this as equation 2. Look at it. This has got a 1 by x plus y. So has this got. This equation has got a 1 by x minus y component. So has the second equation got. So reducing it to a pair of linear equations in two variables of some other two variables, we're going to do it by assigning, this is step number 1 actually for us, by assigning p to be equal to a 1 by x plus y and a q to be equal to 1 by x minus y. So let's rewrite both these equations 1 and 2, replacing 1 by x plus y with a p and 1 by x minus y with a q. So first equation will become 30 times p minus 8 into 1 by x minus y can be replaced with the q. 8q is equal to 1. Let's call this as equation 3. Second equation will become 65p minus 18q. This is equal to 2. This is equation 4. Look at both these equations. These are your standard equations. a1x plus b1y kind of stuff. We can solve these two equations to find the value of p and q. That's step number 2 for us. Right? So we'll use one of the three methods. I'm choosing to use the elimination method, which is a very efficient way of finding the values of these two variables. So step 2, we're going to be solving these two equations, find the values of p and q. To do the elimination method, we need to equate the coefficients of either p or q in both the equations to be the same. We have to equate the coefficients. Let's equate the coefficients of q in both these equations. We find the coefficient of q to be a minus 8 and a minus 18. Let's multiply the first equation with a 9. So 8 into 9 will become 72. Let's multiply the second equation with a 4. 18 into 4 will also become a 72. Let's do that. So 30 times 9 is 270. This is step 2 for us. 270p minus 8 into 9, which is 72q. This is equal to 9. 1 9s are 9. Second equation, 65 into 4 is a 260. 260p minus 18 into 4, which is 72q. 2 into 4 is equal to 8. So let's solve these two equations by subtracting this second equation with the first one, whatever is the lower equation. 270p minus 260p is a 10p. Minus 72q minus of minus 72q will get cancelled to leave us with 9 minus 8, which is equal to 1. 10p equals 1. Therefore, p is equal to 1 by 10. Let's keep this right now for a moment and go on and substitute the value of p as 1 by 10 in this equation, third equation, to find the value of q. We are still in step 2. We are finding values of p and q. So 30 times p, which is 30 into 1 by 10, minus 8q is equal to 1. 30 into 1 by 10 is a 3. 3 minus 8q, 3 minus 8q is equal to 1. Solve for this. You get 3 minus 1 is a 2, which is equal to 8q, which means 8q is equal to 2. Or q is equal to 2 by 8, which is equal to 1 by 4. Q is equal to 2 by 8, which is equal to 1 by 4. Found the value of p, found the value of q. So step 2 is done. We'll move on to step 3. Now we'll have to find out the values of x and y. What is p? P is equal to 1 by x plus y. That's what we have assigned it to be. So cross multiply, you'll get the value of x plus y to be equal to a 10. Let's call this as equation 5. What is q? Q is equal to 1 by x minus y. So 1 by 4 is equal to 1 by x minus y. Cross multiply these two, you'll get the value of x minus y to be equal to a 4. Let's call this as equation 6. Again, let's use the elimination method. We have a plus y and a minus y. All that we need to do is add equations 5 and 6. Y and y will get cancelled. We'll get 2x to be equal to a 14, which means the value of x is equal to 7. Substitute the value of x as 7 in equation 5. So we'll get 7 plus y is equal to 10, which means y is equal to 3. Value of x is 7, value of y is equal to 3. Let's quickly summarize all these 3 steps in a printed form in the next slide. We're rewriting the equations and reducing them to a pair of linear equations in 2 variables and stripping away the coefficients and separating the coefficients and the variable terms. So this is what you'll get from equations 1 and 2. We're going to assign 1 by x to be x plus y to be a p and 1 by x minus y to be a q, and rewriting both these equations to get a pair of linear equations in 2 variables p and q. Step 2, you're going to be solving for p and q using elimination method. We got the value of p to be equal to 1 by 10. Substitute this in the third equation and you'll get the value of q to be equal to 1 by 4. What is p? We have assigned p to be equal to 1 by x plus y. What is q? This is equal to 1 by x minus y. If you cross multiply, you'll get the value of x plus y to be a 10 and you'll get the value of x minus y to be equal to 4. We're taking both these equations to the next slide. X plus y is a 10, x minus y is a 4. Add these two equations, you get the value of x to be a 7. Substitute it in one of these equations, you get the value of y to be equal to a 3. Before you leave, do 2 things. Sign up at online.maxtute.com and get started with your CBSE Class 10 Maths coaching. It takes all of 5 minutes and 3 steps to get started. Second thing I would like you to do is basically subscribe to this channel, youtube.com/maxtute, and spread the word among your friends and classmates.